The other day I was like, I wonder if I can still make a paper airplane. The answer is technically yes, but not nearly as good as I used to. Yeah, okay. Hi friends, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to do a video that I've been planning to do for a very long time, but it's kind of a big undertaking, I would say. But we're going to do a reading vlog of The Appeal. This book is a mystery. So one murder, 15 suspects, a wholly original puzzle. So let me just read you the back so we kind of get an idea what we're doing here. The Fairway Players, a local theater group, is in the midst of rehearsals when tragedy strikes the family of director Martin Hayward and his wife Helen, the play's star. Their young granddaughter has been, I haven't read this, this is sad. Their young granddaughter has been diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, and with an experimental treatment costing a tremendous sum, their castmates rally to raise the money to give her a chance of survival. But not everyone is convinced of the experiment treatment's efficacy, nor of the good intentions of those involved. As tensions grow within the community, things come to a shocking head at the explosive dress rehearsal. The next day, a dead body is found and soon an arrest is made. In the run-up to the trial, two young lawyers sift through the materials, emails, messages, letters, with a growing suspicion that the killer may be hiding in plain sight. The evidence is all there, between the lines, waiting to be uncovered. So, this book is quite literally the evidence. Like if somebody took a case file and just put it into a book. Like this is the first page, and it talks about Jenny and who was it? Who is Jenny? Why the hell did I just say Jenny? Their names are Olafemi and Charlotte. Dear both, as discussed, it is best you know nothing before you read the enclosed. Please bear in mind, only a limited number of emails, texts, and messages could be recovered, so the correspondence is not complete. It is, however, broadly chronological. I've included various extras, i.e. newspaper clippings, social media activity, and other sundries in the pursuit of context. What does sundries mean? They said that word in Baldur's Gate as well. Alexa, what does sundries mean?
Sundries is usually defined as sundry things or items, especially small, miscellaneous items of little value.
Cool. 4, if I come across anything else, I'll forward it to you. From Roger Tanner, QC, Senior Partner at Tanner & Dewey, LLP. And then it's the girls' texts. So, we're going to go through and we're going to try and solve the mystery. Which, if you've watched my videos before, you know I'm not a big mystery solver. Like, I don't try to solve the mystery in books because I want the plot twist to get me. That's why I get so upset if I do guess the plot twist. But in order to keep track of things, I've got our whiteboard out. Haven't seen this guy since we read Mistborn. Maybe we should have like a color code. We need a strategy. Should we do like motive means opportunity? Okay, so like maybe like black is just like the people or like notes, but then like different colors can be like motive, means, and opportunity. So like red can be motive. Blue can be means. And green can be opportunity. And I'll just write the name small everywhere because I'm wanting to connect it like a murder board, seeing as it's a murder. All right. I'm going to read the first little bit and see if I can get our list of suspects because I think there's like a page where we can just get everybody down. Obviously, this is going to be a full spoiler video. Why would you text the word gold? Okay, we're already getting some players in this game. Okay, so first thing of evidence is a letter of recommendation for a nurse named Samantha Greenwood. So we're gonna write her down. It's gonna be like kind of hard to actually see what I'm writing. I'll bring you closer if we need to, but all right, well, there's my little legend. Well, that sucks already. Well, we're gonna use this pretty pink purple color for all the main things instead. What was her name? Samantha Woodward? Greenwood. Samantha Greenwood. Next. Okay. So she's a prospective member of Fairway. So Isabel Beck is also a nurse, it seems. Also, Samantha Greenwood is married. And the email she sent was to Martin Hayward. He seems like a big player. And then Helen is his wife. Wife, Helen, okay. So he's the, okay. Okay, director. Lead actress. That seems like nepotism, but who am I to say? All right, let's use purple for some connection. So we'll put a little heart right here. That's supposed to be purple? That is a black marker. Oh, well. All right. These two are in love. Well, I hope they're in love because they're married. Maybe I'll put rings. Oh, when you get up close, it looks purple. Okay, so they're married. Husband's name is Kel or Kelly, she says. Greenwood. So we'll put him over here. Hello. I'm just gonna put Kelly and we'll just fix it later if she got the name wrong. And we don't really know what he does other than be married to Samantha. She's a chairman and she also runs the Grange. I don't know what that is either. I'm still in those lines. It says purple. Okay. Well, I need a color for like my suspicions. Because I'm already getting vibes. Let's use orange for suspicions. I think Isabel might have a crush on Martin. And I'll put a question mark. It's giving very much, your girlfriend is so pretty. You know the types. But he doesn't seem interested. He's giving like 2 words. Love Issy? Mm-mm. Who's James? He's an assistant director. Keep in mind you'll need to do perfect American accents. I need more colors because I think I'm going to need a color for dates as well. Let's go ahead and use like this light green for dates. Audition. I wish I had wet erase markers. That would make this a lot easier. My father's calling me. Hello?
Hey, quick question.
Yes, sir.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. There may not be as many lions and tigers as in Africa, but it can get pretty wild in geriatrics. Is somebody from Africa? Oh, Samantha's from South Africa. Okay, that's important. I totally missed that. I'm also working under the assumption that they're all British because they were saying that they all need to perfect their American accents for this. Already at great auditions. All right, we're gonna stop there because I'm gonna run out of storage, and mostly this will all be fast forwarded, so it'll be fine. But some basic players, and I'll keep you guys updated a reasonable amount, but probably not all of the time. But I'm not gonna update you every single time I read or write something, but I'll update you on new things as I go. Okay, it's quite literally only been like 5 minutes, but I already have a guess. So we don't actually know who's been murdered yet. My guess is that Isabel Black gets murdered because she's so far up everybody's butthole right now that I'm annoyed with her. They did auditions, but the cast list like has not come out in a long time. Also, we found out that James is the son of Martin and Helen, and his daughter is Poppy, the 2-year-old who has cancer. Which is just, there's a lot of nepotism going on in this. He's the assistant director, James is the assistant director, so. Okay, it's the next day and I'm 64 pages in, so we're gonna do a quick as possible recap, but there's a lot of information, 64 pages. So, this is about the Fairway Players, which is in England, a group of people who do like amateur plays. These are all Maine people, I guess, but got Martin Hayward and Helen Hayward, who are like the leads of the thing. He's the director of all the plays, and she's always the lead actress. And she's a chairman, and she owns what I believe is a nightclub. They have 2 kids, James, who's married to Olivia, who's pregnant with twins, and Paige, who's married to Glenn, and they have a 2-year-old named Poppy. Also a member of the Fairway crew is Isabel Black, who we hate. She's very annoying. She's not a girl's girl, and we just found out that she has 9 months left on disciplinary probation, but we don't know what it's for. Lauren Malden, who we thought was her friend, is actually her ex-friend, and she was like, okay, so Samantha Greenwood is her best friend right now. I'm guessing Samantha gets murdered, her or her husband, because there's no contact from either of them. It's like to them, but not from them, which is interesting. But she's so fucking annoying. She's like all up in Martin's grill all the time. I think she might have a crush on him. Isabel's 29 and Martin's 59, which is like gross. But then also, I'll tell you that in a second. So Samantha and Kelly just moved there from South Africa where they were doing volunteer hours. And we just learned that the reason that they came back, they said, was just because it's where they were from and they were, but apparently there's a real reason. That's sketchy. These people don't really have anything to do with it right now, except I guess Sarah Jane. She is possibly psychic because she said she made a decision based on her visions. And she's married and she has a kid that's 10 who's also in the play. These people aren't really a part of it right now, except for Beth is the kid of 2. Beth is the kid of the set designer. She's 16, and she's important in that she babysat for the ball when they thought somebody else did. So we find out auditions are the 8th and 9th. Cast list doesn't come out until April 17th, which is a lot later, and Isabel doesn't get a part. But Samantha and Kelly, who just moved there, do. Ooh.
Drama.
Helen gets the big role, obviously, and then there's a bunch of other ones. And then Paige, their daughter, gets the other leading role, and she's married to Kel's character in it, and Sue's married to Kevin in it. And then a couple days later, Martin sends out an email saying that Poppy, the 2-year-old, just got diagnosed with brain cancer. So they were thinking about stopping the play, but they're not. But what's going to happen is Martin's no longer the director. He'll be there to help, but James is now the head director, Paige's brother. Paige, the mom of the little girl, has dropped out completely, and Helen is still going to do the role. But they're trying to raise $350K to pay for this experimental treatment. And so, first of all, a lot of the adults in here are like in their 50s, and I can't tell if they're out of touch or just bad people, because they're like, oh my gosh, my dog had cancer. Oh my gosh, I remember when my son fell and got a concussion. Are you joking? Disgusting. So, Paige is dropping out as Lydia, which is one of the big roles. Isabel emails James and is like, hey, she emails him 3 hours after she receives news about Poppy and says, basically, I should play Lydia.
The show
I've already,
must go on.
Yeah, she's like, I've already been rehearsing the lines with Sam and Kel, and I'm the right age. Then we find out that he asks Beth, 16, to do it, and she can't because she has exams, and then asks, I think one of Beth's friends, somebody who's not important enough to be on here, asks 2 people, then emails Isabel and says, you were my very first thought when I had to recast Lydia. So she gets the role. Okay. Sarah Jane is, I didn't write down her age, but she's quite bitchy. I thought it was just to Isabel, which was kind of justifiable, but it's not. So her like day job is fundraising. So she starts to put together a big official fundraiser. We find out that Isabel is getting bullied at work, possibly. It's hard because we don't have info from Sam or Kel, but Sam's email responses from people are saying like, I'm sorry that your coworker feels that she can't report things that are like bullying. But then Isabel's emails make it sound like Sam was the one getting bullied. Basically, they both work in the geriatric unit and nobody wants to work there. And they're like, shift lead is a bitch. So they're having work problems. She gets the role, and when she emails Samantha, her friend, about that, saying like how excited she is, she says, "Tell Kel to watch out now that we're married." That's why I wrote "not a girl's girl." I think I said "ew" out loud and in my book. So the ball happens, and there's a doctor. I need to put her up here, but Dr. Tish is the person that Martin and Helen are working with mainly. Samantha's been trying to talk to her to get information about Poppy. Like, I think to help. But Tish was like, "Do not speak to me again, or I'll tell them why you really left Bangui." And then Samantha, I assume, sends an anonymous complaint to Tish's boss about her working with a fundraiser, which I don't know all the ins and outs, but she drops out of the fundraiser part of it, but she's still like working here. So they have the ball. James and Olivia don't go to the ball. So the uncle and aunt of the kid. And Isabel and him are emailing, and she's like, "Sorry you couldn't be there. I understand somebody had to watch Poppy because the ball went to like 1 a.m. But we found out that Beth babysat Poppy. So James is kind of sketching me out. Also, Nick and Barry Walford are two brothers that are part of it, and they got into a drunk fight. We don't know why. And that's kind of where we're at. I still don't know who gets murdered, but I'm really guessing. Well, I'm guessing either Sam or Kel is either murdered or convicted, because it's called the appeal. I'm pretty sure somebody has been convicted. The ball was May 19th. Whoa. And they put an ad in the paper on the 25th. I don't know if that matters, but I wrote it down.
This reminds me of that one like box escape room that we did that one time with the solve a murder thing.
The one with the like motel at the beach or whatever.
The theater one.
Oh, that we did with Bleep and Bleep. Yeah, we never finished that.
Yeah.
It does remind me of that too.
Okay. Let me just put this here so I can hold things. I've decided the best course of action is just to read this off camera and dog ear things to add to the board and discuss. And I read about 100 pages this morning, so there's a lot going on here. I have no idea how well you can see the board, but there's a... Hello? There's a lot going on. Okay. Move that. All right, first of all, we have to add a character that didn't seem like a big deal, but is. So we've got Dr. Tish. Okay, wow, there is no room for this shit. And some of these people just don't seem important. We're just gonna, okay. And her brothers are, is it Rob? Okay, listen. Let's start with this. She is the doctor working with Martin. So she's the doctor working with Martin on all of Poppy's stuff. Then we have Lydia Drake. Let's just put her here. Lydia Drake, who, I'm just going to spoil this now, scam artist. Scammer. Scammed them out of $112K. Specifically, scammed Martin. And we don't know who that is, other than obviously her name is Lydia Drake. And then we have, okay, Clive Handler. Anonymous, so that's not his real name. And he offers money and pulls out and accuses Tish. So basically, Clive, after the ball, emails Martin and is like, "Hey, I was very moved by what happened. I'm super duper rich. I want to donate the rest of the money for Poppy's medication. And he's like, fantastic, talk to Tish. And Tish says, okay, here's where to send the money. And he goes, okay, well, that's not like a hospital you're asking me to send it to. That's an offshore account. And that's sketchy. And she's like, well, I'm not giving you any more information because you're not telling me who you are. And he says, if you insist on withholding the details I've requested, I will assume the following. There is no American manufacturer, no life-saving drug treatment, and no truth in anything you've told the Haywards. Okay, so he wanted the exact amount of money, the drug manufacturer, head office address, and contact personnel, and reference details for the order of Poppy's drugs, which in my personal opinion seems like some pretty reasonable things to want if you're donating. I think the number was $275K at that point. Okay, now we get introduced to, hello, Arnie. We'll put him over here. Arnie is friends with Kel. I actually literally don't know if his name is actually Kelly. Okay. Friends with Kelly from Africa. You know what, we'll leave it at that for now. I'm trying to give you this information in order so that you understand like the timeline of this all as well. We get a reveal via an email about Poppy's thing from Helen saying that she lost her firstborn son at 4 to cancer. So I'm just going to put boy 4 and connect to Helen because it's from her previous marriage. Nobody has ever heard of this before. Not even like her close friends from the play group. Nobody's ever heard of this before. Isabel is getting worse. She is actually scary. She gets so mad so easily. So she's being her annoying self. And let's go ahead and put Claudia here. Claudia, what was her last name? DeSouza. So she, hello? She is friends with Samantha. She also works at the hospital. She's not a nurse, she's HR. So let's put hospital HR. She's friends with Claudia. Samantha does a marathon or a 5K run and like collects donations for Poppy's treatment. Izzy goes, obviously, and Claudia also goes, and Izzy, like, hates Claudia. Like, will not speak to her. And she kept saying how she had a big surprise for Samantha, and she brought this big old bag, but then Claudia said that she asked her what was in the bag at the bar afterwards, and she was like, nothing, and threw it away. Okay, I just kind of realized something. Okay, so Dr. Tish has a brother named Dan. And he's in Bangui still. And I'll just let you know this now. The last known communication we have from him is on June 10th. June 10th. And he is in Bangui. So he's just emailing his sister and asking about their parents. So I don't know anything about, I'm just going to put this there. We'll know. Their parents are in an elderly care home, and it's very expensive. Tish is the one collecting the money. Then there's a transcription from a handwritten notebook found in Isabel Beck's flat. I guess it's like some sort of therapy thing where she writes down her emotions. But it's horrifying. And she writes, it's like a letter to Sam. And she writes, who is Claudia? Who is Claudia? Who is... It's just rambling, like a psychotic rambling. Genuinely scary. Okay, that's when Lydia meets. It was a pleasure to meet with you today. So let's go ahead and put, I don't know if that date is important enough for going up there. But let's go ahead and do it anyway. So Lydia Drake meeting was June 11th. And there's room for another date, so I'll put that up when I add another one. we find out that Martin is in a legal issue with people who built a fence around his golf course. So we're just going to put white fencing because that's who he is suing. And it just is kind of relevant because it's like, okay, you have a lot of money. Like, drop this case and spend money to Pop. It's just a whole thing. It seems at this point that the Haywards have the assets to pay for Poppy's stuff, but they're unwilling to sell it, so they're donating. They're trying to raise money instead. Okay, then Arnie's mother emails Kel because Arnie's saying, hey, I have a sucky relationship with my mother. Can I come live with you? And they're like, great. So Arnie's mom emails and warns them that he's a drug addict. When Kel tries to email back, the email is gone. Like the email address sends back, which is sketchy. Okay, so then we find out that Samantha is trying to, we're just going to say family search because that's the genealogy website I know. So Samantha is trying to family search Helen. She contacted a genealogist and is asking for information about Helen. I'm guessing that's because she thinks that I'm just putting this together. This is why it's nice to write things down. I think that Samantha thinks that Helen is lying about the boy who died, which would be really gross, obviously. Oh boy, okay. June 30th is the yoga night. So that's another thing that's raising money. And it goes to absolute shit. So, Emma, where's Emma? Is Emma on here? She has to be on here. I swear to God if she's not on here. Emma. How do we even know Emma? Okay, who is Emma? Okay, well, there's a character named Emma Crooks that just kind of, I'm going to put her down here because I don't know if she has any relations to anyone, but Emma Crooks. Only real significance is that she is the yoga instructor. Well, she's friends with Sarah Jane. She runs the yoga thing, and she also is like dog sitting Poppy's dog while everything's going on. This is also where Arnie accuses Martin of being Batoa's bitch and protecting a rapist. Okay? So, let's see. I'm just going to write knows something. So he gets all up in Martin's face, and then one of the Walford brothers, I think Barry, punches him, knocks him out. When he's knocked out, he shits his pants. And Kel, Sam, Izzy get him out of there and take him to the hospital. Tish keeps emailing Sam like, I know what you're trying to do. Don't try to do it. Sarah Jane and her husband, I love them right now. Like, Sarah Jane's kind of a bitch, but like they seem like they're just kind of fun. I don't know. They're like getting stuff done. But they track down they figure out who Clive Handler is. But they're not saying in the emails, but they're saying it's somebody in the play. Then they're telling Izzy she's not welcome at any meetings, which on one hand, I was like, oh, maybe she's Clive. And then on the other hand, I was like, but Izzy is super fucking annoying. Like, I'm not going to go into the details of like everything that she does, but she's gross. She's psychotic. She's hitting on Kel all the time. She is like not wanting anyone to speak to Sam. It's really, really bad. Okay, so July 2nd, Kel and Sam have a fight because we have a note from a neighbor saying we can all hear you're having marital issues. Can you shut up? So this is when I didn't piece this together. Oh, sorry. I didn't piece this together as quickly as the detectives in this did, which is probably why they're the detectives. But we find out that Claudia is having an affair with Kel. And Claudia sends some like kind of nasty emails. Like the tone isn't nasty, but like what she's saying is like, she's like, I wish we could move away from each other, but we just can't. And then we find, well, I don't, is this a guess? I don't think this is a guess, but we're just going to write accuse. Sam accused Dan Batoa while they were in Bangui of sexual assault. That's what I'm assuming. That's what all of the like hints are towards. There could be a twist that it's not fully true. That's why it's in green. But basically, from what I'm understanding, that's why she left, because he basically like won that situation. And some correspondence, especially between Tish and people, call Samantha like a liar. But there's also communication from women to Samantha calling her brave and like being sad for her that things happened. On June, so this is kind of going back in time, but not at the same time. On July 2nd, a letter arrives for Samantha, but it was written on June 27th, so that's why I'm putting June 27th here. It's from a lady in Batoa who basically figures out that Dan and all of his people that said that they were in Batoa weren't in Batoa. They left a while ago and they've all been killed. So Dan is dead. Tish tells Martin that Sam is responsible for this death, which is confusing. This lady, who's not going to come up again, so I'm not going to write her down, she tells Sam that you may be angry he was never brought to justice, resentful that he might be hailed a hero, or you may think he deserved this fate on some level. I don't know how it will affect you, but I feel you should know. She says a lot of things changed after she left, and it makes sense that like something had to be true for them to make all those changes. And she said, whatever is ultimately behind the changes, none of that would have happened without you speaking up. Thank you. So that's why, like, right now I'm a little bit on, like, Sam's side of that whole situation. All right. This took a while to piece together, so I'm just going to tell you what happened. Arnie stole a doll. And we'll go ahead and put the guy's name up here just in case. What's his name? Robert Green. Okay, Rob Green. Whoops. Arnie stole. He stole. Okay, listen to me. The same day as the yoga night, earlier that day, Arnie got stranded somewhere and Kel had to go pick him up. Where he got picked up, there was a police report filed that day for African artifacts being stolen from a man's house, including a voodoo doll, which was given to Poppy at the yoga night, which the parents quickly took away because it's sketchy, obviously. But Arnie gets arrested for that. And the police show up at Martin's house, and he freaks out, but then he's like, oh, it was just about the doll. And this is when Martin and James are talking, and it becomes a lot of, don't text, call me. Sketchy. July 4th, Sam gets attacked in the hospital. Me personally, I'm still unclear as to who attacked her. One of the lawyers in here said she thinks it's Claudia. The other one thought it was somebody else, thought it was Tish. So I'm still confused. But July 4th, Sam gets attacked, and Izzy emails Claudia, and it's like, just so you know, your friend got really hurt, and I wasn't there, but like, and Claudia's like, stop fucking lying. I saw you there, hiding behind everyone like you always do, manipulating, like, it's a whole thing. And then we find out that Isabel and Lauren, I'm just gonna write crime. Isabel and Lauren were working on the same patient, and one of them, Izzy says it's Lauren obviously, added bupivacaine to a saline IV. The patient went into shock and died. This is according to Izzy. Izzy says her and Lauren agreed to share the blame even though only Lauren did it. So Izzy goes in and says, me and Lauren did it, and then Lauren goes in and says, Izzy just did it. And so Lauren meets Josh, goes to a different hospital. Izzy takes the fall and is on suspension, and that's why she's ex-friends with Lauren, which, you know, a very good reason to be ex-friends with somebody, I have to say. We're basically caught up now. Oh, no, we're not. So, who died? Between July 4th, 11 p.m. to July 5th, 4 a.m., Sam is killed. So, Sam is our murder victim. And that is where I'm going to leave you, because that is where I left myself on a nice little cliffhanger. Sam is our resident murder victim, which makes a little bit of sense because her and Kel don't have any correspondence from them. So I'll put a big through her. So this is what our board looks like. These are our suspects. Give you a little, my battery's gonna run out at any second, but this is where we are. I didn't realize how far we'd get into the book before we were able to actually know who got killed, but I will see you guys next update.
Okay, I'm far too lazy to actually get out my mic right now, so the audio might not be as good right now. But before I continue reading, I wanted to look at the suspects. Oh heavens, you can't see anything. Well, you can see something. There we go. That's good enough now. Okay, so motives. Right here, we've got the affair, so Kel or Claudia could be for that. Isabel, I mean, this whole, I'm just going to circle her. Just her in and of herself is motive, but I also feel like her obsession isn't at the point of murder quite yet, so I'm not feeling that one as much. Tish is definitely a suspect because of this accusation. And then also Helen, because of Sam accusing Helen of lying about the baby who died. Did I tell you guys that Sam isn't Lydia Drake, but Sam is Clive Handler? So that's motive for like Martin, but I don't feel like Martin or James did it. I don't think Sarah Jane did it. I don't think they did it. I don't think it really has anything to do with, I don't think it has anything to do with the Poppy situation. I think it's either got to do with the affair or the accusations. Anyway, that's my quick update before I continue reading.
Update time. Lauren emails Izzy and is like, I heard that there was an incident last night. Like, there's no way they're gonna let Sam stay in the play. You should take over her part. You're so talented. And Izzy's like, oh, Sam went back to Africa. When she's telling everyone else she hasn't heard from Sam. And then she says, after she left rehearsal, she came to tell me specially, as we'd been such good friends. That's past tense, bestie. That's past tense. Then we've got Tish emailing Selma Kenya, who's not up here, but Tish emails somebody who can help her find Dan and is kind of like trying to figure out everything that's happening there. And she's told that the accusations that Samantha made were accurate and that many women and children have come forward expressing inappropriate activities on Dan's part. So Tish is coping with that at the moment, which I cannot imagine. I love that you get like these texts from the lawyers, and obviously they're better at their jobs than I am at their jobs. So they point out that Sarah Jane, Kevin mentions that she slept on the couch the night that Samantha was murdered because Kevin was sick. So she doesn't really have an alibi. Sam is killed, July 4th, 11 p.m. to July 5th, 4 a.m. Somewhere in that time area. All right. Sarah Jane emails on July 5th at 4 p.m., which is the first day of the play. This is really bugging me. But I want to look pretty, so I want the natural light. Bet. All right. We're going to try this, because then there's only a little reflection. All right. So, Sarah Jane emails Kel at 4 p.m. the day of the play. And he responds. We don't see his response, because we don't see any of Kel's responses. But he's like, he says that he agrees with what Sam said, but he didn't want her to say it. But that he will be at the play tonight. And he, spoiler, he continues to play his role for the 3 nights of the play. Lydia Drake, person who scammed Martin, her email is traced back to Magda, who works at the Grange. I was going to put, I'm just going to spell her name, but it's just going to be bad. She works as like the host at the front of the club. And it's also a country club, not like a club. I didn't put that together, but it makes much more sense for who these people are. When Kel arrives at the play at 6 p.m., he's limping. James emails Izzy and is like, have you seen, they're like emailing back and forth a little bit, and Izzy gives her typical long answer. And then James at the end of his email says, you haven't seen Sam, have you? And she just writes, no, period. Which is very unlike her and very sketchy, because she's a sketchy person. Here's another timeline thingy. Okay. We'll put this like down here, because this is when the body's discovered. So, after the play, Izzy gets a ride home from the Hallidays, and at 11:44, they email their daughter, hey, we're on our way home. We gave Izzy a ride home, but she asked to be taken to Sam's place because she said she had something for Kel. And then at 12:12 a.m., Izzy calls the police. She says that Sam's been hurt, says she's dead, won't check if she's breathing. Then she says she's been here a whole day, she hasn't moved. She's been here a whole day. How do you know that, bestie? And then the lady says, what's your name? And she says, you can see Topps Tiles from here, which is a store. Spoiler alert, if you're standing on the balcony, which is the only place you can see Sam's body from, you can't see Topps Tiles from there. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so the lawyers begin discussing their theories, and the questions that they need to answer are, where would it be? Who killed Sam Greenwood? In the hours before her death, she told 3 people 3 things. Who and what? Who knew what was going to happen? Who knew about the body before it was discovered? And who is erroneously imprisoned and why? So they're putting together their legalese stuff for their boss. And something that they mention is that we know that Sarah Jane came up with the lie that Poppy was going blind from her cancer to get that band to come play. But eventually Martin sends out an email that just says Poppy is blind. And then in Paige's email, Poppy's mom, she says to somebody that she had to shave Poppy's head because people expect a child with cancer to be bald. So they're definitely like creating symptoms that are not there, which does not help the accusation Sam made against them that they are just trying to steal money from their friends. Okay, so I did not gather this at all. So I probably told you that Claudia got Izzy a tour at a different hospital, and the person from the other hospital emailed Claudia and was like, Izzy's a mess. She was very great at the beginning, very talkative, very inquisitive, but then she disappeared for a while, and we found her going through our documents and our files. And I was just like, wow, Izzy's sketchy. And then later, Izzy emails Claudia about the fight where Claudia attacked Sam. And Claudia's like, you sketchy ass hoe. I know that you were going through that other hospital's records. And she's like, I've never been to that hospital. Come to find out, well, if I'd paid more attention, I probably could have figured it out. The email that Claudia was talking to Izzy about that interview was not her regular email, and it was actually Sam posing as Izzy so that Tish wouldn't know that Sam was in the hospital looking through the records. There's so much happening, y'all. It's insane. Okay. So one of their big suspects at the moment is Kevin, which I still don't quite see, so I'm trying to spell it exactly why. Apparently, Sarah Jane and Kevin are obviously very involved in the appeal, and they have a lot of their business people involved, and Kevin is it sounds like he's a Freemason because they're talking about his Masonic contacts, people from his lodge who have donated money. So they think his motive is to protect his professional reputation, but I just don't see it, me personally. Okay, the three people who are not who they say they are. Clive Handler is Sam. Drake. Lydia Drake, they believe is Glenn. Okay? So now they think that Lydia Drake didn't scam Martin, but it was Martin scamming Tish because Tish is stealing the money from them, somehow blackmailing Martin. So he creates Lydia Drake as a scammer, but then takes that money for Poppy's treatment. Good God, you guys, this is insane. Okay, so they have 5 theories. Theory 1, who killed Sam? Glenn. Who knew it was going to happen? Martin and James. This whole triad is working together. James couldn't have done it because he was at the hospital. Who knew about the body? Paige and Helen, because they needed to recast the play. Glenn also wakes Paige up at 4 a.m. the night of the murder, and tells her that she needs to start rehearsing lines for Sam's role. Oh, and who's imprisoned? They think Kel for that theory. Theory 2, who killed her? Kel. Who knew it was going to happen? Claudia, the affair, because she was there. Who knew about it before? Arnie. Because Arnie left at 5 a.m. that morning with a rucksack. He claims he just went in and didn't notice anything amiss, thought they were both just working nights, slept there, and left the next morning. Kel and Claudia were seen at an inn together at 2 a.m. And in that case scenario, Izzy would be the one in prison. Theory 3. Who killed Samantha Greenwood? Somebody hired by Tish. Their theory is one of the Walfords. For some reason.
I found some web results. I can show them if you ask again from your iPhone.
Oh my God, that scared me so bad. I about shit my pants. Who knew it was going to happen? Rav, who is Tish and Dan's other brother. Who knew about it before? Martin, because Tish tells him. Because in this whole blackmail situation, they're kind of like working together. And who's in prison in that? Kel, because the husband did it. The husband always did it. Theory 4, who killed Samantha? Kevin. Who knew about it? Sarah Jane. Who knew about the body before? Isabel, because she goes to Sam's flat and finds the body shortly later. However, whether due to shock or some other reason, she returns home and carries on as normal the next day. Who is in prison there? Kel. Theory 5, Arnie killed Sam. And Samantha knew it was going to happen because Samantha informed on Arnie about the whole African doll situation. Who knew about it? Kel and Claudia, because they returned to the flat, but they don't say anything because they know they'll be seen as guilty. And Kel still gets in prison in that case scenario. So. Oh, brother. 3 people are not who they say they are. That would be Clive, who is Sam, Lydia, who is Martin, and Magda Kuchar. And Magda Kuchar, okay, so Magda is really just Martin using a Grange email to act as Lydia. Okay, 5 a.m. the night of the murder. So we talked about how Glenn woke Paige up at 4 to go over lines, and then he texts James at 5 a.m. and says, told Paige she's stoked, only saying the other day she missed being in the play. July 5th at 9:24, so the night after she was killed, so the night of the play, Tish is in Africa now because she's trying to figure out all the dance stuff. She sends an email to Samantha saying, yo, never thought I'd be writing this. I'm in Africa. I have done my research and basically figured out that you're right about Dan. I'm so sorry you weren't taken seriously. I'm sorry for what I did. BTW, stay away from the Haywards. And in my opinion, it seems sincere, but, you know, it's an email. Okay, then their boss says you need to go back through the correspondence. Okay, wait. So the thing about Top's tiles, Izzy would have had to be sitting at the desk that she was like fawning over in Sam's apartment to see it. So she was sitting at Sam's desk when she called 911. Also, Sam and Kel have chlamydia. I think we talked about that earlier because that's why they actually left Bangui. And her medication also gives her suicidal thoughts. Well, that's a possible side effect of it. And then he says, you need to go through correspondence and think again about who does not exist at all. This is where, guys, I actually put something together because Izzy emails Lauren July 6th at 5:18 a.m. So, a couple days. Yeah. And says, I won't write you anymore. I don't even know why I started. It's not as if you were ever my real friend. My only friend has left and I'm making a new start. This means cleansing my life of people who don't nurture or fulfill me. Going to therapy, I'm going to jog, As soon as I can apply to move words, I will. There are lots of great things waiting for me in the future, so I won't be writing to you again, Izzy. And at that point, I went, maybe Lauren's not real. And I nailed it. So Lauren does not exist. Lauren is Izzy. They are the same person. Josh does not exist. Izzy is emailing Lauren as like an alter ego, imaginary friend, like almost like that like blue book where she was like, who's Claudia? Who's Claudia? Who's Claudia? Oh, psycho. So scary. Also, the person who is currently in prison that their boss thinks is innocent is Izzy. So Izzy's been convicted because this is an appeal. Okay. Oh God, that's so much. Okay. Let's discuss this. Okay. The boy that died at 4 that Sam said that she was lying about, she wasn't lying about having a boy that was 4 who died. However, Helen Hayward, Helen is not her real name. She is from Boston. That's why her American accent is so good. That's why Samantha was talking to... Where did this person go? Okay, yeah. That's why she was doing the family search to look into that. And her friend Andy, who looked into it, got even more curious because she couldn't find any death records for this boy. Found out that Helen is from Boston and was charged with involuntary manslaughter of her 4-year-old because she has Munchausen's by proxy, which is now called fabricated or induced illness, which is when you want attention, so you make somebody close to you appear to be sick. So she wasn't feeding him, and she wasn't taking care of him to make him sick. We also find out earlier that Paige was sick a lot as a kid, but, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really think much of it, but they think that. And so they think that Helen or Paige, via like a similar genetic makeup as her mother, are making up Poppy's cancer. Poppy doesn't even have cancer. Okay? Because the only person who in the entire thing actually corroborates having seen Poppy at the hospital getting treatment is Lauren, and Lauren doesn't exist. Y'all, it's crazy. Okay, so now they think, who killed Samantha? Martin, to stop the secret from being exposed. They think he knows about Helen's situation, doesn't want her to get actual help because it's embarrassing. And so being the lead has always like helped her. Like he wouldn't even consider plays where it's not a female lead. And then the Poppy situation just makes them feel more involved. It's very strange. Who knew it was going to happen? Glenn because James is the co-conspirator beforehand, but Glenn kind of takes his place when James has his kids. And Isabel's in prison because, I mean, she's a psychotic person. Okay, big issue with the appeal. Izzy confessed. So she confessed that she did it. She says that, well, did she confess that she did it? It's all very confusing at this point, y'all. Okay, she says it was an accident. She says that they got into a fight and Sam fell off. And then she said that the next night she went to go bring Kel. So the first night when she went after the dress rehearsal and they're fighting in the parking lot, she says, Sam told me that she wished she'd never given me that purse from Africa that she let me borrow and then keep. And I got upset, so I decided to take a bus over there really late at night and give it to her. Police find that bag in Izzy's house. And Izzy locked the balcony doors behind her, which is pretty premeditated. And then she said she had something for Kel the next day, and that's why she was going, but she can't say what that was. Okay, Martin goes in to make a statement because he's like, I want to set the record straight because I know I had a fight with the victim the night before. Basically gives his alibi of, we were at the rehearsal, I went home, I sent out these emails, I made these calls, like this is what I was doing that night. And then he admits to Lydia Drake being fake. He admits that the Lydia Drake thing never happened. And then Kel gets interviewed and he's kind of being sketchy. He's like, she should have kept her mouth shut and she'd still be alive. Like, she's not wrong, but she should have kept her mouth shut. And then she says, oh, she was absolutely right. Poppy's not sick and they're scamming their friends. But then later in the interview, the guy's like, why did you keep doing the play? Your wife died. And he says, didn't want to let them down. They've all worked hard and it raises money for the kid. Arnie gets brought in and, Nick Walford was at the inn and he saw Kel and Claudia, and his alibi seems pretty solid to me. He is like a plumber, electric, one of those things, and all of his work records prove that the inn had an issue that he went and fixed. Arnie did not know that Sam died, and he puked when he found out. Well, he says he doesn't know. I believe him. He seems like a mess, and it makes me sad. And he says that he was released from custody on parole the night that Sam was killed. He says he walked all the way back to their place, but didn't look outside, assumed they were working nights, didn't touch the balcony doors, went to sleep, and then left at 5 a.m. the next morning. And I, frankly, believe him. And that's where I'm at right now. I have very little left to go, so I'll probably wrap this up pretty soon. We've only got probably like 20 pages left. So, Izzy's in prison. Their boss doesn't think she did it. Me personally, I feel like if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. But we shall see. Hello, and welcome to the epic conclusion of the murder of Samantha Greenwood. Where do we leave off? I already forget. I'm just going to tell you. So, they solve the case. I'm still unsure. Okay, I'm still unsure how they came to this conclusion. How did they figure this out? Okay, they realize, man, they're good at this. They realize that the twins were born at 10:30, but the post that James posts with pictures of the babies in the announcement is hours later, and it says Olivia's asleep. They realized that Olivia posted that while James was gone. James went to Samantha's because Samantha, after learning about Helen's Munchausen's by proxy and that Poppy is not actually sick, she trusts James because she doesn't think James is in on it. She calls James. James goes to her house. They get into a fight. He pushes her off the balcony. as James is leaving, he runs into Izzy outside. And Izzy's a witness now, so James tells Izzy basically everything that happened, but he says it was an accident, basically swears her to secrecy, says everyone's just going to think it's a suicide, whatever. She ends up taking the blame for it because she feels towards James a similar way that she feels towards Lauren. The way she created Lauren was, you did something and I took the fall for it, so you owe me your friendship. And that's kind of the same thing that's happening here. So Izzy gets imprisoned. Tish emails Sonia, which was Samantha's boss back in Africa, and says that she saw Samantha in Africa. It didn't happen. It just seems like Samantha's being a guardian angel over Tish and the whole operations down there. Martin emails everybody like a month after the death and says, hey besties, Poppy's fine now. Hallelujah, it was that African doll. He's like, we put the voodoo doll over her bed and now she's healed, and now we're going to raise money for other cancer treatments. Ugh. And then he announces the next play and the audition dates. Later, we find out that the appeal is successful, Izzy gets released, and it says a man is arrested. Well, okay, here we go. Martin gets arrested for fraud, for all of the Poppy stuff. Isabel gets released, and a man gets arrested for the murder. We're assuming that's James. Then Izzy emails Femi. And is like, OMG, thank you so much. You're absolutely the best. Like, your boss spoke so highly of you. I really hope James doesn't go to prison. He has so much to live for, and he's a new dad. And he didn't tell me to take the fall for it. And I mean, it easily could have been me. I was so upset that night. And then asks her for a job, which is just, wow. Just the worst. Just the worst. So, that's the conclusion. I'm pissed. First of all, because I did not see this coming at all. I thought he probably knew about it, but honestly, maybe it should have been a red flag how nice he was to Izzy. Maybe he knew how easy she was to manipulate by just like simply being kind to her. But I genuinely was like, he's the only person nice to Izzy. He seems like a sweetheart. Anyways, I think Izzy deserves prison just because of who she is. Kel and Claudia are together now. I think that's about it. That pretty much wraps it up. I don't know what the point of Jackie was. I hope Arnie's okay. So Martin was feeding all of the money into his own things. Poppy was never sick. They just shaved this poor girl's head, told everyone she was going blind. Oh my gosh, it's a mess. An absolute mess, but a great book. That book is 5 stars. I'm obsessed. I want to read another one of her books. I like that setup. This is very fun. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next week.